Okay, so I promise I'm not just saying this to be controversial, but I don't think the Umibozu theory is correct. I've been really digging through the lore and reading each of the entries in Pikmin 4 to try and make these theories, and I have really started to notice a trend throughout the game. I think yet another aspect of our understanding of Pikmin, and even a commonly accepted theory about Pikmin, may be at its end with Pikmin 4. Stick with me as I go through why I don't think the Umibozu theory is correct. Hello everyone, you're watching Variety Television and welcome to another Pikmin 4 theory. Before we get started, another reminder that the Pikmin Live discussion should be happening on September 2nd. I know I keep on about it, but I want to make sure everyone can join who's able to. So with that out of the way, don't forget to make sure you're subscribed, and let's get on with the video. I guess to start off this whole thing, I should probably give you a rundown of what the Umibozu theory is, in case you've never heard it or may need a refresher. The super simple rundown of the theory is that the Umibozu, a figure from Japanese mythology, is present in Pikmin's world. The Umibozu is a watery spirit figure that lives in the sea and crashes boats and offs their captains to take the treasure that's on board. It starts with Pikmin 1, when the asteroid hits Olimar's ship and splits off all of the parts. The asteroid is supposedly this Umibozu, and the Umibozu is brought down to Earth in pieces as well as Olimar's ship. According to this theory, the Gulix in Pikmin 1 is a piece of this Umibozu, and space is meant to represent the ocean. Olimar, a captain, and the parts of the ship are the treasure. In Pikmin 2, the Water Wraith is the next incarnation of the Umibozu and is trying to protect the actual treasures it has now found on Earth. In Pikmin 3, the Umibozu is the Plasm Wraith, and Olimar himself now represents the treasure that the Umibozu wants. Apparently, this theory follows the idea that the Umibozu has been slowly gathering pieces of itself back together since it was initially broken in Pikmin 1 as an asteroid, which is why we see it slowly get more advanced through the games. And honestly, I've always been one who believed this theory to be true. It honestly makes a lot of sense. But now, I can't help but think that the Pikmin developers themselves are trying to steer us away from that direction, and let me show you what I mean. The first piece of evidence, setting aside my theory that this is a reboot, is the Foolix. The first evidence for the Umibozu theory is that the Gulix of Pikmin 1 is a piece of the then split apart Umibozu. However, in Pikmin 4 we see that there is more than one member of the Gulix family, with the Foolix. The Foolix being a relative tells us two things. First, the Gulix family are probably native to PNF 404 and did in fact not originate from the asteroid that crashed Olimar. Second, it tells us that if this is in fact a reboot, one of the things that Olimar did in his first 15 days was fight a Gulix, as we never see one appear in Pikmin 4, yet there is a classification for its family. The next piece of evidence against the Umibozu theory is the fact that the Water Wraith is also present in Pikmin 4. While it is regarded as having some spiritual or ultra-dimensional aspect, the fact that it exists alongside members of the Gulix family means that it can't be a later iteration of the Gulix. They are two separate entities that aren't even in the same family, nor do they even have similar names. For example, the Foolix's scientific name is Mononuclei stellicotus, while the Water Wraith is Amphibio sapiens. Clearly, these two are not related. While the themes of shipwrecks, captains in danger, and treasure are present, I really don't think the Umibozu has anything to do with the mysterious crashes. Rather, I think it's something we're way more familiar with, something we've seen from the very beginning of Pikmin. The onions. And before you say I've lost my mind and click off the video, hear me out, I have evidence. Not in Pikmin 1, but in Pikmin 4, what causes Olimar's ship to crash? If you said meteoroid, you would be wrong. Every reference to Olimar's crash I could find only refers to it as just that, a crash. No meteoroid impact, none of that, just a crash, and his ship parts get scattered as a result. We also actually get to see the SS Shepherd's crash, and again, their ship just kinda crashes. No explanation is really given, just something goes boom on the inside and the ship crashes. Okay, so something unexplained happens that causes Olimar's ship to randomly crash, but what does he land extremely close to once he does? The red onion. And what does Olimar say about this red onion when he first comes across it in Pikmin 4? Quote, "I had barely begun my search when a strange thing reared up as if it were waiting for me. It then dropped a single seed. It resembled a vegetable on my home planet called an onion. I shall call this an onion too. Its sprout glows and sways as if inviting me to come closer." I don't know about you all, but this entry alone is very telling. It at least tells us that Olimar feels as though the onion was waiting for him, as well as that he felt as though the Pikmin sprout was inviting him to come closer. My question is, why would the onion be waiting for Olimar and inviting him closer to the Pikmin? Easy. The Pikmin need leaders to survive and thrive. That's why every single time we find an onion, it's in a state of near Pikmin extinction, and in some cases, total extinction, only emitting a single backup seed when Olimar or another leader is near. It seems the onion is very aware of the Pikmin's need for a leader. Do you think the onion couldn't be that aware of things on the surface? Well, I'll point you to the 3 Pikmin limit as well as the max Pikmin limit. Both of these things happen outside of an onion, yet are still detected and controlled by the nearest active onion. For example, if you're drawing Pikmin directly from an onion, it would make sense that it could have evolved to somehow know what types of Pikmin are being drawn and whether or not the limit has been reached. But if you go outside of the onion's influence, well...
The limit does not exist. The limit does not exist!
For example, if you want to break the onion's rules, here's an experiment you can try. Head down to the Crackling Cauldron Cave in the Sun-Speckled Terrace. At the start of the cave, select any 3 Pikmin types other than yellow, and don't bring a full party. For example, if you can bring 100 Pikmin around with you, bring 20 red, 20 blue, and 20 ice. When you get to the first floor, you'll find wild yellow Pikmin buried there, which you can then pluck and use throughout the cave, bringing your new limit up to 4. Plant a few glow seeds and now it's 5. I'm sure you can break this limit even further in some of the caves with multiple different candy pop buds, but that's just a quick example that you can try yourself. But what happens the moment you return to the surface? Well, you must select only 3 Pikmin types once again, as you are now within the range of the onion's influence. If your limit is 20, you can also find wild Pikmin in caves and surpass that limit up to 100. But the moment you return to the surface, your limit is reinforced. This clearly tells us that the onions are aware of a lot of information within their radius, and considering the size of some of the maps in Pikmin 4, I'd say that's a pretty decent range for such a small organism. Also, have you ever noticed how all of the Pikmin have leaves, and Moss and Ochi have leaves, and all of the captains have little antennas on top of their heads that greatly resemble the positioning of the Pikmin's leaves? I think the flower on top of the onion might not only function as a propeller, but also as a sort of natural satellite dish, picking up on the signals within its reach. The Pikmin's leaves all function as antennas, allowing them to communicate with the onion and each other. The captain's antennas are what I theorize allow the onion to have influence on the captains, like with my last theory. My idea is that these antennas are picking up signals from the onion, much like the Pikmin's leaves, and vice versa. This also perfectly explains why the onion would be waiting for Olimar. It could sense his signal drawing near. If you need more proof, let me direct your attention to the Gildamander, the giant lizard thing with fake gold on its back, and an oddly familiar appendage on its head. Here is the part of Olimar's entry on this thing that references said appendage. Quote, "The lantern-like organ atop its head emits electromagnetic waves that are known to affect Pikmin and onions, confusing them into thinking the Gildamander is their leader, allowing it to withdraw Pikmin directly from the onion. This tells me that the onion and Pikmin indeed are working on some sort of dish and antenna system, as electromagnetic waves are able to disrupt this connection, allowing the Gildamander to bypass the onion's control. So we've established that the onion and Pikmin probably communicate through signals. The antenna on Olimar's head could also possibly receive these signals, but the onions are for sure aware of whatever signals the captains emit with their antennas. We did not, however, establish how this could crash a ship. My theory, working off of the antenna and dish system that we just established, is that onions within the range of other onions are also able to communicate. and when two onions are near, their signal works in tandem, boosting the effective radius. If that radius happens to include a third onion, well, it'll expand further, and so on. Thanks to Pikmin 4, we see that onions are literally scattered everywhere. Multiple onions of the same color can even be found relatively close to one another. I think that these onions are connected in a large network of sorts, and when ships pass by the planet, they are able to use their signals to cause ship malfunctions, just like we see the Gildamander do to the onions, and this crashes the ships. The reason for why they would do this is obvious. The Pikmin and onions need leaders. This is an absolute evolutionary fact about the Pikmin, and even the Gildamander has evolved to take advantage of this fact, drawing out Pikmin in an attempt to eat them. For further evidence, I would like to direct you to Voyage Log number 71, quote, "I wonder if these Pikmin were waiting for me to arrive. On this planet, they are a weak species, but if they're trying to use the power of an alien brain to climb to the top of the natural order, I have to wonder if it isn't me who's being used by them." Indeed you are, Olimar, indeed you are, but more than you'll ever know. He couldn't possibly imagine that the onions would be behind his crash, nor the crashes of so many castaways. Why do you think the onions have evolved to have the leaflingification process? It's simply to ensure that once they attract a leader, be it dog or person, they can keep them there. As we all know, a leafed up creature cannot leave the planet. But of course, that's all just my theory, so let me know what you all think of it down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching this video. Have a great day, and thanks for tuning in. Variety Television will be right back.